Live from New Delhi, you're watching DDI India NewsHour, India's voice to the world. I'm Prasar Bharati. Coming up in the next hour. Maldives President Mohammad Muizzu to arrive in Delhi on his first bilateral visit to India. Talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday. Israel pounds fresh bombs in Beirut and Gaza. Demonstrations in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv for release of hostages. French President Macron calls for ceasefire, halt to arms supply. Netanyahu terms it shameful, says will win war without their support. In Women's T20 World Cup, Pakistan win toss and elect to bat first against India in Dubai. Later in the day, a youthful Indian men's team faces Bangladesh in T20 series opener in Gwalior. President of the Republic of Maldives, Dr. Mohammad Muizzu, will be travelling to India today on a state visit. This will be his first bilateral visit after assuming office. He had earlier visited India in June 2024 to attend the swearing-in ceremony of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. During his visit, President Dr. Muizzu will meet President of India. He will hold discussions with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on bilateral, regional and international issues of mutual interest. Maldives is India's key maritime neighbour in the Indian Ocean region. Maldives holds a special place in Prime Minister's vision of Sagar, that is, security and growth for all in the region, and India's neighbourhood first policy. The visit is expected to lend further momentum to cooperation and robust people-to-people ties between two countries. The visit of President Dr. Muizzu to India after the recent visit of the External Affairs Minister to Maldives is testimony to the importance that India attaches to its relations with the Maldives. And to discuss more on this, I've been joined by Prabhu Dayal, who is a former senior diplomat. Sir, first of all, a very warm welcome to the show. Now, to begin with, how significant this visit is according to you for both the countries? How do you see this?
Well, Siddharth, first of all, thanks for having me on your show.
Pleasure, sir.
The trip is significant both for India and the Maldives. India has given the visit the status of a state visit, which signals our desire to reset bilateral ties after what has been a very acrimonious period in the relationship. Similarly, the Maldivian side has indicated that President Muizzu is committed to enhancing bilateral ties with all nations that play a crucial role in the development and growth of Maldives. And in this direction, he has specifically mentioned India, because India is significant for the development of Maldives. Now, let me mention that some steps taken by Maldives had taken the bilateral ties to a low point towards the end of last year. Muizzu, who became president in November 2023, had done so on the back of an India Out campaign. And he had demanded the removal of some 85 Indian military personnel who were deployed in the Maldives. But slowly, there have been signs of a thaw in the relationship. And Muizzu, as I said earlier, has acknowledged India's importance and referred to it as one of Maldives' invaluable partners. And I think this shift could pave the way for a more balanced approach that respects Maldivian sovereignty while also recognizing India's strategic interests in the region. And, let me recall that the foreign minister of the Maldives visited India in May this year, and this was followed by the visit of our External Affairs Minister, Mr. Jaishankar, in August. So all this signals the steps that both sides are taking to bring the relationship back on even keel.
Okay. You said it right. So you're of the view that visit of President Muizu will strengthen the bilateral ties between both the countries.
Yes, absolutely. The visit will strengthen the relations. We always want good relations with all our neighbors. In fact, it was some of the steps which the Maldivian side had taken which led to the deterioration. Now, let me mention that Maldives has been facing some severe financial troubles in recent months. And it has been mentioned in the media that the foreign exchange reserves of the Maldives came down to about $440 million in September, which was just about enough for 1.5 months of imports. Maldives has a big foreign exchange debt, which is about 8 billion, and of this, 1.4 billion each is owed by it to China and India. And despite the statement sometimes that the Maldivian side has given that China will be giving a green signal on deferring debt payments for 5 years, no real financial assistance has come from Beijing to Maldives. On the other hand, India has been very forthcoming. You know, India has done some things which have helped the Maldives very significantly. For instance, I think we helped Maldives to avoid the risk of defaulting on Islamic bond payments by extending our subscription to government treasury bills worth about $50 million for another year. So India has tried to take a very concrete steps to help out Maldives. And as I said earlier, Maldives is going through financial troubles and needs help from larger neighbors like India and China. India has been much more forthcoming than China has been in this regard.
Definitely. Sir, he will meet President and hold discussions with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on bilateral, regional and international issues of mutual interest. What do you think could be on the cards?
Well, you know, nothing has been said that this bilateral aid package would be on the cards. But there are media reports, including in the international media, which have been giving some indications that this issue, that is India's financial assistance to Maldives and a sort of a bailout package, could very well be on the cards. But in any case, Muizu will definitely try to put across the point that he doesn't mean to be hostile towards India. In fact, he will draw indication to the fact that he has dialed down whatever was the sort of rhetoric against India, and that sometime back while he was visiting the United States for attending the UN General Assembly, he said during an interaction at Princeton University that the Maldives only had a problem with the presence of foreign military personnel on its soil and wasn't against any country. So Muizu will certainly try to put this point across that whatever he had tried to say in the beginning was only because of his opposition to foreign troops on the soil of Maldives. He has nothing against India. And I think he will try and repair the relationship. Of course, we will welcome all initiatives and we will do so ourselves.
Okay, all right. President Muizu will be attending business events also, sir, in Mumbai and Bengaluru. Do you think this will give a fillip to the trade between both the nations in different sectors?
Yes, certainly. You know, India can help out Maldives in a very big way. In any case, the Maldives was one of the favorite tourist destinations.
I'll come to that, yeah.
But what happened was that after the escalation of anti-India rhetoric from the Maldivian side, many Indians began to cancel plans for going to the Maldives. And certainly this has impacted the tourism sector in the Maldives. So while speaking to the business community, both in Mumbai and in Bengaluru, Muizu will certainly try and put across the point that his country welcomes tourists from India and that he had been misunderstood on earlier occasions and that Indians should continue to come to Maldives and they are extremely welcome there. So this sort of welcoming message will be an outreach to the Indian business community. And I think he will also try and seek investments from India in the different sectors of the Maldivian economy.
Since you mentioned tourism, sir, tourism is crucial for Maldives, we all know. Do you think talks related to it will emerge?
Well, you know, he has to set in motion the process of assuaging India's feelings. There was a high degree of hurt on account of various things that happened on the part of the Maldives. First of all, this very slogan, India out, was very hurtful. And then you would recall that when Prime Minister Modi went to the the Lakshadweep Islands, then there were some very nasty comments made, and that further put off Indian tourists who decided not to go to the Maldives. I think that is why he took steps to suspend those two offending ministers. And I think he has also said now that they have quit, that they have resigned. So necessary steps perhaps are being taken. But, you know, once things are derailed, it takes a while to put them back on track. And I think President Muizu will, during his interaction with the business community in India, he will try to put across the point that Maldives welcomes them and that everyone should put behind them whatever has happened in the past.
Okay, okay. Sir, in what ways can Sagar facilitate economic cooperation between India and Maldives, particularly in areas like trade and investment?
Well, you know, India has always emphasized the importance of Sagar. And we have said that the Maldives holds a special place in our policy of security and growth for all in the region. This is our vision.
Yeah.
And also, we lay a lot of emphasis on the neighborhood first policy, where again, Maldives has a lot of importance.
Yeah.
So the important thing is to put the political relationship back to where it was, and then economic benefits will certainly flow to Maldives from India. And in fact, we are very keen to help Maldives overcome its financial difficulties.
Okay, and how about people-to-people ties, sir?
The people-to-people ties have always been good. You know, Indians were among the largest group of tourists who used to go to the Maldives. And there were a lot of Maldivian students who were studying in India. So India did whatever was possible to promote people-to-people ties, because we feel that only ties at the top level being good is not enough. It is essential that the benefits and the ties flow down to the lower levels too. That is to say that the ties have to be strengthened bottom up. People-to-people relations should be good, and then government-to-government relations also become good. So our effort is to certainly interact with the people of Maldives and make them understand that we mean well towards their country and that we want a very, very smooth and beneficial relationship for both sides to come out of our interaction.
Okay, and what trade opportunities do you foresee arising from President Muizu's visit?
The trade opportunities, you mean?
Yes, yes, definitely.
Yes, certainly. You know, whatever can be done in terms of promoting bilateral trade, there are lots of things. India, for instance, is one of the world's biggest producers of pharmaceutical products. And these are always going to be needed. So a country like Maldives, which is very small and which can't really have a good pharmaceutical manufacturing base, stands to profit from the supplies that can come to it from India. And then again, for instance, in the area of food supplies, I think Maldives is a net importer of these. In fact, it is not going to be able to meet its domestic requirements without sizable imports. And certainly India is a country which can help to meet its food requirements. So these are just two areas, but there are a whole host of others, because India is a highly technologically advanced country. And Maldives certainly is not quite there in so many sectors. So this sort of bilateral cooperation in the technical areas will be very, very beneficial for the Maldives also.
All right, we leave it there. Thank you so much, sir, for coming on the broadcast. It was wonderful having conversation with you. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar attended 3rd Kautilya Economic Conclave in New Delhi. Dr. S. Jaishankar said that Quad Group is one of the key mechanisms of Indo-Pacific.
If you look today at the kind of agenda the Quad has, it's huge. I mean, it's from, I would say, from telecom and connectivity and, climate action projects, to education, to technology, to maritime safety, security. We would have maybe at least 50, 60, 70 different domains today covered by the Quad. Today, I would actually regard Quad as one of the really key mechanisms in the Indo-Pacific. And I can see that it's, that perception is increasingly shared by other countries. So many other countries want to have to, are interested in interacting in some way with the Quad.
Dr. S. Jaishankar also said that the size of India's economy is shaping people's thinking towards India.
Countries of the neighborhood in the last decade actually have regionalized much more deeply than they have done in the last 7 or 8 decades, since independence for us. And the impact of that and the impact of the size of the Indian economy and the willingness of India really to step out and do things for its neighbors and for the rest of the world. I think that is today shaping people's thinking, that whether it was Sri Lanka in economic distress or the fertilizer shortages after the Ukraine war started, or the vaccine demands during COVID, there is that broader regional sense, okay, there's an India, we can ask India, it's a country that is there for us.
Further, on the Global South, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said that we are part of collective and trusted member of collective.
It's in the nature of things that every nation naturally prioritizes its interests, but I would argue that Global South itself has great value on a range of issues. Again, I don't have to position myself as a leader of the Global South. You are part of a collective, and if in the collective you are a trusted member of the collective and you are an articulate member of the collective, I think people expect you to do a little bit more. Again, I'm not entirely sure that some of the answers can be found bilaterally.
The Indian Air Force, along with multiple agencies, successfully rescued American and British climbers stuck for days on Chowkhamba Mountain. The 2 women alpine mountaineers from the attempted Chowkhamba 3 peak expedition in Uttarakhand's Chamoli district on Sunday. Undaunted by the 18,500-foot altitude, IAF Cheetah pilots displayed exceptional flying skills and conducted the search operation for over 60 hours to ensure the climbers' safe rescue. Applauding the remarkable display of teamwork by the Indian Air Force, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh wrote on micro-blogging platform X, and I quote, "Proud of our armed forces for the remarkable rescue and evacuation operation of 2 women alpine mountaineers from the United States and United Kingdom during their expedition to Chowkhamba 3 Peak. The jointness in planning and coordination with national and state administration and swiftness in execution while putting their own lives at risk once again demonstrate our armed forces' unwavering commitment to ensure safety of all personnel, irrespective of their nationality." Still to come on DDI NewsHour. Voting underway in Tunisia, with President Kais Saied set for re-election. Today is World Cerebral Palsy Day, to serve as a platform to amplify the voices of individuals living with cerebral palsy.
India is one of the countries most affected by the impacts of climate change. So what can be the solution, and can children become a part of the solution?
We show a picture of the amla berry, for example, and discuss their nutritional value. In this way, they begin to understand the value of different fruits and vegetables, and that's when they realize why it's important to eat these things.
If we convert this 120 million ton that we see into biochar, we see about roughly about 350 million tons of CO2 emission reduction.
We can cultivate and use in a responsible way, and maybe how small-scale community enterprises could start to use it as a way to support their local economy.
You're watching DDI NEWSHOUR. I'm Prasar Bharati. Israel has placed its forces on high alert as Israel-Hamas conflict is going to mark its first anniversary on Monday. In latest, Israel Air Force has conducted a series of targeted strikes on Hezbollah's weapons storage facilities in Beirut. French President Macron said that sales of arms used in Gaza should be halted, but Israeli Prime Minister replied sharply on Macron's statement and called an arms embargo was a disgrace. More in this report.
Israel has placed its forces on high alert ahead of anniversary of Hamas's October 7 attack. The alert came with Israel engaged in an intensifying war with the Lebanese Hezbollah group, which Israeli army chief said he would hit without concession or respite. On Sunday, Israeli Air Force conducted a series of targeted airstrikes on Hezbollah's weapons storage facilities and infrastructure sites in Beirut. Early on Saturday, the Israeli military announced changes to its defensive guidelines in several areas, including north of Tel Aviv, near the Gaza Strip, and parts of the occupied West Bank. The changes allow gatherings of up to 2,000 people, up from 1,000.
It has been decided to update instruction of the home front so that gatherings are allowed of up to 2,000 people from the Carmel area to the south.
Along with easing of some of the defense guidelines, Israel remains on alert ahead of the anniversary of Hamas's October 7 attack. Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron has called for a ceasefire on Sunday.
When we call for ceasefire, this is the case for Gaza. This was also the case for Lebanon last week. Well, we try not to call for a ceasefire while continuing to deliver weapons of war. And I think it's just consistency. And so I confirm to you that for my part, I think that at the moment, the ceasefire in Gaza is a priority to allow humanitarian action to be resumed at full capacity.
Reacting sharply on Macron's statement, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that the Macron's statement ignores enormity of terror strike that had taken place in Israel last year.
As Israel fights the forces of barbarism led by Iran, all civilized countries should be standing firmly by Israel's side. Yet President Macron and some other Western leaders are now calling for an arms embargo against Israel. Shame on them.
On the other hand, 18 people were killed and dozens of others were injured in Israel's retaliatory airstrike on a Gaza mosque. Israel's attack comes as part of its operation against Hamas and the mission to neutralize all its centers in Gaza. Thousands of Israelis took to the streets once again on Saturday night, calling for a deal to secure the release of those held captive by Hamas in Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has fiercely maintained that he is committed to releasing the hostages, blaming Hamas for rejecting repeated proposals. The United Nations Secretary General denounced Hamas and called for an immediate end to the shocking violence and bloodshed in Gaza and Lebanon. Aman Kumar Himanshu's report for DD India.
In a massive aerial assault, Russia launched 87 drones and 4 missiles on Ukraine on Saturday. Ukrainian air defenses claimed to have destroyed 56 of these drones and 2 missiles. Ukraine's military reported a prolonged air raid alert spanning over 5 hours in the eastern region. Russian airstrikes targeted key cities, including Kiev. Preliminary reports confirm no damage or casualties so far. Just 1 month before the November 5 presidential election in the United States, Donald Trump returned to rural Pennsylvania on Saturday, where he narrowly survived an assassination attempt in July. Speaking to a large crowd in key battleground state, the Republican presidential candidate reaffirmed that his movement to make America great again remains stronger and more united.
Exactly 12 weeks ago this evening on this very ground, a cold-blooded assassin aimed to silence me and to silence the greatest movement, MAGA. For 16 harrowing seconds during the gunfire, time stopped as this vicious monster unleashed pure evil from his sniper's perch, not so far away. But by the hand of Providence and the grace of God, that villain did not succeed in his goal.
In mid-speech, Trump invited billionaire Elon Musk on stage in Pennsylvania's Butler, stating that he's an incredible guy. Addressing the crowd with energy, Musk donned a black Make America Great Again cap and Occupy Mars shirt.
I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA. Well, first of all, I want to say what an honor it is to be here. And, you know, the true test of someone's character is how they behave under fire. And we had one president who couldn't climb a flight of stairs, and another who was fist pumping after getting shot. Fight, fight, fight!
Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance joined Donald Trump in his campaign in Pennsylvania on Saturday, justifying Trump's position on rights of women. He said that every state should take its own call on making law on abortion instead of framing a federal legislation.
On the abortion question, the president's been very clear that he wants Georgia to make Georgia's laws, California to make California's laws, and to respect the fact that we kind of have a messy democracy where sometimes different states are going to make different determinations on these issues.
U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris attended a meeting with emergency management officials and talked to members of the armed forces. She announced disaster relief package for Mecklenburg County, assessing the damage from Hurricane Helene in Charlotte, North Carolina. Her visit comes a day after her Republican rival Donald Trump campaigned in Fayetteville, home to a large military community in North Carolina.
The work that is happening here and that continues really is the best of what we can do to bring federal, state, and local resources together in a way that is coordinated with one purpose and one purpose only, which is bringing relief, support, and help to the people who are most in need and desperate for help and desperate to be seen and heard. So I came here to find out what's going on the ground, to find out what more we can do in terms of federal aid, what we're giving to Mecklenburg County in terms of disaster relief, the work that we are doing, which is $100 million to assist with the rebuilding of Interstate 40.
Still to come on DDI NEWSHOUR. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar denies Chinese incursion in northeast Indian state of Arunachal Pradesh, asserts robust patrolling along line of actual control. Devastating floods in northeast India's Garo Hills, one of the worst in years, claims several lives.
This is a golden era of the Indian chess with both the men's and women's team winning gold at the Olympiad. What do you think is driving this incredible success for Indian chess on the global stage right now?
Some level it was always bound to happen, and India has come very close in some Olympiads, and then they unfortunately couldn't get the gold medal, but this year I think was the golden year and we managed to get it.
How you maintain your focus, your composure during the tournament?
Just try to focus on one thing at a time, helps me get into the groove, get into the mode. Focusing on the current moment really helps.
You're watching DD NEWSHOUR. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, and a quick recap of the headlines. Maldives President Mohammed Muizzu to arrive Delhi on his first bilateral visit to India. Talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday. Israel pounds fresh bombs in Beirut and Gaza. Demonstrations in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv for release of hostages. In Women's T20 World Cup, Pakistan win toss and elect to bat first against India in Dubai. Later in the day, a youthful Indian men's team faces Bangladesh in T20 series opener in Gwalior. At least 15 dead after heavy rains trigger flash floods in northeast Indian state of Meghalaya's South Garo Hills district. Incessant rainfall for the last 2 days has triggered landslides, mudslides and swelled rivers that have washed away several wooden bridges and cut off road connectivity to many of the remote areas. Garo Hills is reeling under one of the worst floods it has faced in years. Meanwhile, Chief Minister Conrad Sangma stated that efforts are ongoing to clear and repair the road from Dalu to Sibari. Floods and landslides have disrupted communication, causing delays of several hours for the arrival of SDRF and NDRF teams. These teams are working diligently to recover the bodies. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has clearly denied reports of Chinese incursions in Arunachal Pradesh and reaffirmed India's robust patrolling of the line of actual control. The remarks by Dr. Jaishankar came while addressing an interactive session at the Conclave 2024 hosted by Primetime in New Delhi. On being asked about reports of China entering the Arunachal border in recent times, Jaishankar said in Arunachal Pradesh, we are very robust in our patrolling of the LAC.
In Arunachal Pradesh, we are very robust in our patrolling to the LAC. And I can tell you that, in terms of our patrolling in the LAC, there's been no major change last 5-10 years, maybe even longer.
As the serene landscapes of Jammu and Kashmir embrace the first snowfall of the season, Razdan Top, the majestic mountain pass connecting the Grays Valley to Bandipora, has been blanketed with a light dusting of fresh snow. Overnight, the high peaks shimmered with their new icy coat, while the plains of Kashmir were refreshed by steady rainfall. The change in weather has brought a noticeable dip in temperatures, but left the tourists delighted.
वो पूरी हुई कश्मीर नाम सुन के पहले सबसे पहले बर्फ ही आता है दिमाग के अंदर लेकिन वो अभी पूरी हो गई
हमको लगता है कि हाल फिलहाल में स्नो है तो इट्स नाइस एक्सपीरियंस यहाँ पर थोड़ा ही मिला था अभी नवंबर उतना होता है कि नवंबर से लोगों को स्नो मिलता है हम लोग को अक्टूबर मिल गया इट्स नाइस
After a hiatus of 2 decades, the Indian Air Force conducted a mega air show on Marina Beach of Chennai ahead of the 92nd Air Force Day. A total of 72 aircraft took part in the air show.
Of our pilots. Once more.
This year's event is based on theme Bharatiya Vayu Sena, Saksham, Sashakt, Atmanirbhar, that is, potent, powerful and self-reliant. Air show featured the Rafales, Sukhoi 30, MKI, Mirage 2000, Airbus C295MW, MiG-29 fighters, PB-8I, Poseidon, anti-submarine warfare aircraft, plus many more aircraft. It also featured vintage planes such as the Dakota and Harvard.
Squadron leader Jasdeep Singh and number 3 squadron leader Vishnu. Look to your left, here they go, pulling up for... Chennai, ida Ongulkaga.
Indian Air Force's mega air show at Chennai, India sets a world record in Limca Book of Records by breaking previous record of 13 lakh count. It registered maximum public crowd turnout for an adventure show in the world.
இந்த இறுக்கமான கடினமான தளங்களை பாருங்கள்.
While flying at 185 km per hour, the helicopters have commenced their approach.
610 Garud flight ஐ நோக்கி உங்கள் கவனத்தை செலுத்துங்கள். இவர்கள் மிகவும் துல்லியமாக slithering operation செய்வதை நீங்கள் பார்க்கலாம். The first buddy pair shall be taking the position.
Let's take a look at other stories making news. Indian state Uttar Pradesh's Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath unveiled the logo of Mahakumbh Fair 2025 in Prayagraj. The Grand Fair will take place from January 14 to February 26, 2025 in Uttar Pradesh's Prayagraj. As a part of the Navratri celebrations, a special Garba program was organized in Kheda district of Gujarat for the specially abled individuals, creating a sense of inclusivity for all. India's northeastern state Assam's CM Himanta Biswa Sarma began disbursing monthly financial assistance to female citizens under Nijut Moina Scheme 2024. This scheme primarily aimed at zeroing the number of school and college dropout for female citizens of Assam. To enhance connectivity and foster economic growth in Telangana, India's Coal and Mines Minister Kishan Reddy inaugurated the new Secunderabad-Vasco da Gama Express train at Secunderabad Railway Station, Telangana. International cricket players they reached in fact in Srinagar, Jammu Kashmir ahead of Legends League Cricket. Srinagar's Bakshi Stadium will host the landmark sporting event from October 9 to October 16. As Hurricane Helene leaves a trail of destruction, Florida's governor declared a state of emergency as forecasters warned that the U.S. state could be slammed by another major storm next week. The National Weather Department said that tropical storm Milton, currently churning in the western Gulf of Mexico, was forecast to strengthen into a major hurricane as it moves toward Florida into midweek next week. Depending on its path, Milton could potentially bring fresh havoc to areas of Florida's west coast, still recovering from Helene. After Hurricane Helene destroyed Water Utilities Point, residents of North Carolina lined up at a water distribution center to fill their canisters. North Carolina, being the hardest hit of the devastating hurricane, faced most of the property damages. Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Voters cast their ballots at a polling station in Tunisia as voting began for Tunisia's presidential election. The North African country holds a presidential election with no real opposition as the main rival to President Said is currently in prison. French Foreign Affairs Minister Jean-Noël Barrot met his Jordanian counterpart Ayman Safadi in Amman to discuss latest developments within the Middle East. During his visit, Barrot will also meet Jordan's King Abdullah. All 75 Navy crew and passengers are rescued by New Zealand Defence Force after a Navy vessel ran aground and sank off in Samoa. Defence Force said that the cause of the grounding is still unknown and would need further investigation. Several boats travelled on the oil Marble Pastaza River in Peru after oil spill caused by the state-run company Petroperu. The company informed the locals that the situation was under control after deploying containment barriers to manage the spill. Today is World Cerebral Palsy Day. This day will once again serve as a platform to amplify the voices of individuals living with cerebral palsy. This year's theme, #UniquelyCP, tells about the uniqueness of the cerebral palsy community, their interests, passion and identities, showing that they are not solely defined by their disability. The day conveys a powerful message to society that individuals with cerebral palsy can achieve their goals in life with their distinct capabilities and strengths. You're watching DD NEWSHOUR. Time now for sport. Moving on to the India and in fact the ICC Women's T20 World Cup. Pakistan women's decision to bat first against India backfired as their order went back to the pavilion early. Renuka Singh gave India a breakthrough as she removed Gul Feroza for a duck. Pakistan is currently batting at 70 for the loss of 6 wickets. India hope to win and improve their net run rate as the shocking defeat against New Zealand in the opening match has dented their chances of entering the semi-finals. Indian squad now must win all its remaining group stage matches against Pakistan, Sri Lanka and Australia to have any realistic chance of making it to the last 4. In the second match of the day, West Indies will face Scotland. Both the teams have lost their opening matches. It's a do-or-die game for the West Indies as another defeat can rule out their chances of qualifying for the semi-finals. India and Bangladesh will square off in the first men's T20 international of the 3-match series in Gwalior on Sunday. India would hope to continue its winning streak following their 2-0 win in the recently concluded Test series. India stars who were part of the Test series have been rested. However, the men in blue have a star-studded lineup consisting of captain Surya Kumar Yadav, Hardik Pandya, Sanju Samson, Arshdeep Singh and others. On the other hand, Bangladesh skipper Najmul Hossain Shanto promised to play aggressive brand of cricket. Overall, India and Bangladesh have played 14 T20 international matches against each other. India have won 13 of them. International cricket will return to Gwalior after 14 years and fans can expect a run feast in the first match. India all-rounder Shivam Dube has been ruled out of the upcoming 3-match T20I series against Bangladesh. According to the Indian Cricket Board, BCCI, Dube will miss the 3-game rubber owing to a back injury. However, BCCI has named young Mumbai Indians batter Tilak Verma as Dube's replacement. And now, let's talk about the comeback of Mayank Yadav, who has been the talk of the town of late. After a prolonged injury layoff, Yadav has been cleared by VVS Lakshman, head of the National Cricket Academy, to play in the upcoming India vs Bangladesh T20 series, which is all set to begin from 6th of October.
When India's squad for Bangladesh was announced, the highlight of the selection was the inclusion of several genuine stars from the IPL who are finally getting their well-deserved opportunities. Notable inclusions were the return of Varun Chakravarti to the squad, along with the exciting newcomers Harshit Rana and Mayank Yadav. 21-year-old Mayank Yadav's selection comes after months of recovery from a recurring abdominal strain that had sidelined him since the IPL. Mayank thrilled everyone with his raw pace during IPL 2024 season. Despite playing only 4 matches, Mayank made a huge impression with his raw pace, regularly clocking speeds of 150 to 155 km per hour for the Lucknow Super Giants, earning back-to-back Player of the Match awards that captured global attention. Mayank picked up 7 wickets before his season was cut short due to injuries. His debut against Punjab Kings saw him take 3 for 27, with his overall tournament economy rate standing at 6.99. Earlier, former South African cricketer Jonty Rhodes hailed Mayank, comparing him to legendary fast bowler Alan Donald. The Indian team management had seemingly seen enough of the pacer and gave him a fast bowler contract and even put him in a special program at the National Cricket Academy to get him ready for the Bangladesh series. Following an impressive recovery from injury, Mayank has been bowling 14 to 15 overs daily at the National Cricket Academy. The upcoming Bangladesh series presents a crucial opportunity for the National Selection Committee and head coach Gautam Gambhir to evaluate his international level performance. Initially, his workload will be limited to 4 overs, but if he responds well physically, he will be gradually introduced to longer formats. With his immense potential, he is viewed as a valuable asset for Indian cricket's future. Sports Desk, DD India.
All right, and DDI correspondent Narayan Singh joins us now to give us more details on India versus Pakistan and then India versus Bangladesh T20, which will be played later in the day. Narayan, we just told our viewers we'll be talking about two matches. First, the ongoing match between India and Pakistan, T20 World Cup Women's. And second, we're going to be talking about the India versus Bangladesh T20 encounter. Now, as I can see, it's 72-7 for Pakistan. They won the toss, they opted to bat. Didn't they analyze the pitch? The decision backfired, Narayan. 72-7, 15 overs.
Definitely, as we earlier mentioned, that it is the match who reads the conditions well, and as you mentioned rightly that Pakistan failed to read the condition rightly here, because we know that it is a scorching heat in Dubai, and the kind of start India got, just they are around 70 for the loss of 7 wickets. So only we can say that the Indian team just we can say that the way they started the match and just controlled the conditions and took early wickets, that was the key for the Indian team. And after losing the first match against New Zealand by a margin of 58 runs, they knew that it's a do or die situation for that, considering the fact that from here India can at maximum just gain 6 points, and if a small, we can say that a margin of error is not for them, and they started it rightly, and we are hoping that definitely they will bundle out Pakistan under we can say below 100, and if that happens, and the need of the hour for India is to win the match by a big margin, and then only they can be there in the knockouts, because New Zealand, Australia and Pakistan already have won their matches. And finally, when we go to the after the finish of the league stage, all team will come on the 6 points.
Okay, Narayan, seems like you've already predicted the score. I was just coming on to that. I was just about to ask you that it's 74-7 now and it's 15.2 overs. What do you think the score could be? Will it be below 100, or will it reach like somewhere around 101, 105, or they'll be bundled out, like you said, below 100? And will that give advantage to India? Because, you know, they will be very, very careful, you know, while playing all of their matches. Each and every ball is very important for Team India, because they lost their first match. Now they cannot afford to lose any other match, like you just mentioned.
Definitely, Siddharth, as you mentioned that they can't afford to lose a single match here. And we know that the need of the hour is to win the match by the big margin. Already they lost their first match against New Zealand by 58 runs. Here they have to win by the big margin, otherwise it could be difficult for them. Towards after the finish of the league stage, it will all come on the run rate. If from here India need to win at least their remaining matches to be there at the 6 points. For suppose that from here, if New Zealand lose their one match against Australia and win their remaining 2 matches, they too will have the 6 points. And in that context, it's very important for India, and hoping that they need to win this match by a big margin.
Okay, Narayan, the match is still going on. We'll have to wait and see what will happen in this match. The chances are that India will come out with flying colours from this. Now, coming on to India versus Bangladesh T20 encounters. Fresh faces in the squad. We earlier had also discussed that this time around a fresh wave has entered into the dressing room of the Indian cricket team, and it's also creating waves. A setback for Shivam Dube, but how do you analyse that match?
An important match for both the teams, for India too, because India, the T20 team is in a phase of transitions after the retirement of the Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma and Ravindra Jadeja. Few spots are there for the grabs, and in this tournament, even the regulars who featured in the T20, Shubman Gill, Yashasvi Jaiswal and Jasprit Bumrah is also not there. So under the captaincy of Suryakumar Yadav, we have many new faces, and there is only one opener in the form of Abhishek Sharma, and there is no second opener. So on the eve of the match, our captain said that the next player will be open for the India. So it's going to be a great match for the both.
It's going to be a cracker of an encounter. Thank you so much, Narayan. We leave it there. We have paucity of time. Thank you. News just coming in. President of the Republic of Maldives, Dr. Mohammed Muizzu, has arrived in India on a state visit. This is his first bilateral visit after assuming office. He had earlier visited India in June 2024 to attend the swearing-in ceremony of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. During his visit, President Dr. Muizu will meet President of India. He will hold discussions with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on bilateral, regional and international issues of mutual interest. Maldives is India's key maritime neighbor in Indian Ocean region. Maldives holds a special place in Prime Minister's vision of Sagar, that is, security and growth for all in the region, and India's neighborhood first policy. This visit, in fact, is expected to lend further momentum to cooperation and robust people-to-people ties between the two countries. Some more interesting stories. The Indian Army Arena Polo team defeated the US military team in closely contested test match at the Lakeside Polo Club in California, USA. The match ended with a score of 13-10 in favor of Indian team. Lieutenant Colonel Prithvi Singh, Lieutenant Colonel Yatinder Kumar, Major Mrityunjay Singh and Lieutenant Colonel R.K. Gautam gave a good account of their horsemanship. The Indian Army officers not only excelled on the field but also represented their organization with honor and sportsmanship. This match marks the first international engagement for the Indian Army team since 2019, and they have exceeded the high expectations set by their organization. Francesco Bagnaia claimed the Japan MotoGP title ahead of championship front-runner George Martin on Sunday. Italy's Bagnaia cut the Spaniard's lead in the overall standings to 10 points with 4 races remaining. Defending world champion Bagnaia overtook pole sitter Pedro Acosta on the first lap at Motegi and stayed in front to finish 1.189 seconds ahead of Martin, with Marc Marquez third. It was Bagnaia's 8th Grand Prix win of the season, his best ever tally. It was also his first victory at the Japan MotoGP. Coco Gauff has set up a showdown with Carolina Muchova in China Open final on Sunday. The American beat Spain's Paula Badosa 4-6, 6-4, 6-2 in a thrilling semi-final. Gauff, who has struggled in recent months, racked up 11 double faults and also converted just 6 of 20 break points, but battled back down to Spaniard. Last year's US Open champion, it's chasing a second title of the year. Our only title of the year came in Auckland in January. In another semi-final match, the 20-year-old Muchova subdued Olympic champion Qin Wen in straight sets 6-3, 6-4. The Czech is the lowest ranked player to reach the Beijing final since tournament began in 2004. In bilateral contest, Gauff has won both their previous matches, most recently in US Open semi-finals last year. More than 400 years ago, literary legend William Shakespeare said, "Music can raise out the written troubles of the brain." And people now are turning to music as a way to deal with the stresses of modern digital-driven life. Keeping the electrifying vibes of the weekend alive, Argentine swayed and danced at the Beatles' rock musician Paul McCartney dazzled the stage amid flashing blue lights, and a zealous audience. Drums rolled and energy could be seen all over the show venue. He mesmerized his fans as he performed hits like Can't Buy Me Love and Junior's Farm. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Prasar Bharati from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.